Fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use. Copyright Act 1976 permitted for criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, research, and prophecy. Fair use, 1976 Copyright Act is in action as we speak. So quick one. I just got home from work. So I'm doing another quick video. As you can see, breaking news. NATO allies send special forces troops to Greenland. I say again, NATO allies have sent special forces troops to Greenland to defend Greenland from Emperor Trump. All right. So Greenland. Let me this is France 24 News. It's the main news channel in France, France 24, right? In English, so I won't need to transfer. So listen up.
NATO forces are on exercise in Greenland at a time when American designs on the island threaten the alliance's very existence. NATO has not confirmed its approval of the drills, which reportedly involve troops from Sweden, Germany, France, the Netherlands, and Canada. Hosts Denmark framed it as part of a bolstering of Greenland's defenses.
It is within the framework of NATO that we are conducting these activities, and it is Denmark as the host country that has taken these initiatives. Therefore, I cannot imagine, nor do I want to speculate, that a NATO country would attack.
France says it's acting in full solidarity with Denmark. Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu warned that Washington must be taken at its word.
It is clear that the intentions of the Trump administration are serious, and that we must absolutely not underestimate the words of the American president.
NATO chief Mark Rutte will meet a delegation from Denmark and Greenland on Monday in Brussels. It's unclear whether this particular exercise, Operation Arctic Endurance, is anything but routine. There have been many similar drills in recent years. The latest in September was called Arctic Light. It involved more than 550 troops, including military observers from the United States. Observing from afar is the covetous eye of the man in the White House, who continues to say that the US needs Greenland.
He continues to say that the US needs Greenland, yeah. So let me just play this one here. This is a guy from Midas Touch. All right. Fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use. Listen up. News is spreading like wildfire.
Special forces from France. This is what you wanted, Donald. Special forces from France. Special forces from Denmark. Special forces from Sweden. Special forces from Germany. Special forces from Canada. Special forces from other European nations are all heading to Nuuk in Greenland to support the sovereignty of Greenland. This as Donald Trump's pick to become the next ambassador to Iceland thinks it's funny that after the United States annexes Canada and annexes Greenland, that he's going to become the governor of Iceland, and that'll become the 52nd or 53rd state. This is what this despicable regime is saying right now, and world leaders are asserting strength against Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is showing weakness. By the way, make sure you hit subscribe to our YouTube channel right now. The Midas Touch Network is on its way to 6 million subscribers. We with cameramen on the ground, reporters on the ground in Minneapolis. Make sure you subscribe right now. You may think you're subscribed, but you may not actually be subscribed. French President Emmanuel Macron posted the following. He says that at the request of Denmark, I have decided that France will participate in the joint exercises organized by Denmark in Greenland, Operation Arctic Endurance. The first French military elements are already on their way. Others will follow. And
I just showed you the clip of the soldiers that have arrived already, right? I'm going to come back to this guy, but I'm going to quickly show you because he spoke about the French president, right? Well, let's give you him here. We're going to come back to Midas Touch. Hold on, Midas Touch. Right? You're going to hear the French president speak here.
French President Emmanuel Macron gave his New Year's wishes to the French army today following an emergency defense meeting this morning. He made those comments and reviewed troops at an airbase in southern France. The president said the first team of soldiers was already in place in Greenland and that more military means will be deployed in the coming days.
See? More. France to send extra land, air, and sea forces to Greenland in coming days. All right, and this just came out 3 hours ago, right? This news conference. So listen to what he says here.
Also said he wanted 36 billion euros more between now and 2030 to further boost the French army.
The increased speed of threats demands the acceleration of rearming France. To remain free, we need to be fearful. To be fearful, we need to be powerful. And to be powerful in this world that's brutal, we need to be quicker and stronger.
France 24 reporters Olivier Bizot and Pauline Godard were granted exclusive access to a mission over the Black Sea from that base, where President Macron is now. That was just a few weeks ago, and Olivia joins me on the set to talk a bit more about all of this. Olivia, now you have...
So let's go back to Midas Touch. So as you can see, this ain't no fake news. They're there. The president is sending more. He says we've got to be stronger, braver, bigger. He's back in Denmark all of the way. All right. So Germany, Sweden, France. What did he say? Denmark, Canada. Special forces have been are on the island as we speak. All right. So listen to a bit more of Midas Touch.
Special thanks sent to France by the people of Greenland. We see the Swedish armed forces arriving in Greenland today. You have this message right here from Ulf Kristersson, the leader of Sweden, the prime minister. Some officers from the Swedish armed forces are arriving in Greenland today. They are a part of a group of several allied countries. Together, they will prepare upcoming phases within the framework of the Danish exercise Operation Arctic Endurance. At Denmark's request, Sweden is sending personnel from its armed forces. We're seeing posts like this from Orla Jolson, who's on the ground there in Greenland. He posts the following as well from Nuuk. It is the flag, obviously, of Denmark, Greenland, NATO, European Union, standing strong, standing united. And this is what Greenland is choosing to be with. We've seen posts like this from veterans from Denmark, from the United States' war in Afghanistan and Iraq. People saying, I was willing to die. I gave everything for the U.S. I gave my body, my life, my future, my soul. After 9/11, when the United States invoked Article 5, Denmark lost more soldiers per capita than any other country fighting alongside the United States. And this is how the U.S. repays them, by threatening Greenland. And you've seen the premier of Greenland say, if we have to choose the United States or Denmark, we clearly choose Denmark. We are strong, we are proud, we are Greenland. We stand for our own sovereignty. We will stand with NATO for now as also part of the Kingdom of Denmark, though respecting our sovereignty. If we have to choose, we choose Denmark, the Greenlanders say. Mark Warner says, in just a year, Trump has so damaged the United States that these European countries, our allies, are sending troops into Greenland to protect against us. German reconnaissance troops in Greenland, and we are seeing these troops landing right now. Look at the Hercules landing in Nuuk right there. The other Hercules aircraft landed in a nearby city of Kanderlussuaq. -1 degree Celsius right there. Look at some of these soldiers here from Denmark who are being transported. They're preparing for these military exercises to prepare for an invasion by the United States. We heard from the president of the European Union Commission, von der Leyen. Here's what she has to say. Greenlanders can count on us. The EU stands firmly behind the people of Greenland and Denmark. Watch this. Let's play this clip.
And for me, it's important that the Greenlanders know, and they know this by the deeds, not only by the words, that we respect the wishes of the Greenlanders and their interests, and that they can count on us. Greenland belongs to its people. So it's up to Denmark and Greenland, and only to them, to decide on matters that are concerning Denmark and Greenland. That's point number one, and that's very important. We are in constant contact with the Danish government, also to listen to what the needs are, what the needs of the Greenlanders are, in very close contact. Greenland is part of NATO. And when we are speaking about Arctic security, this is one of the core topics of NATO. And we know that the glue between the allies is the fact that there's always the clear motto, one for all for one.
Now, on state regime.
So that was the Musketeers, right? One for all and all for one. Well, Trump is coming to break all of that up. Now, this is breaking news, right? The foreign minister, the Danish foreign minister, he was on Fox News last night. So let's just play you a little bit of that. Fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use. But just share the tab, right? So this is a foreign minister. He was on, 7 hours ago, he was on Fox News, Brett Baer's show, right? Let's listen to what he says here.
We need Greenland for national security, so we're going to see what happens. If we don't go in, Russia's going to go in and China's going to go in. And there's not a thing that Denmark can do about it, but we can do everything about it.
The president...
Did you hear that? Oh, my Lord. Nero said, let me play that back again. He said, there's not a goddamn thing that Denmark can do anything about this. And this was last night, right? This was last night. He said, there's not a goddamn thing what they can do, and they can't do anything about it. Come on, Trump. We're rooting for you. Donald J. Trump, the prophets of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai are rooting for you. Come on.
If we don't go in, Russia's going to go in and China's going to go in. And there's not a thing that Denmark can do about it, but we can do everything about it.
The president has made his view clear, and we have a different position. We therefore still have a fundamental disagreement, but we also agree to disagree. And therefore we will, however, continue to talk.
President Trump and the Danish foreign minister on the U.S. effort to take over Greenland. The Danish foreign minister, Lars Løkke Rasmussen, joins me here live in studio. Mr. Foreign Minister, thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me, Brett. Good to see you again.
I know it was an interesting day today. I want to get first, before we get into specifics, your take on that meeting with Vice President Vance and Secretary Rubio.
My take is that it was a brilliant opportunity for us, American friends. I mean, we are close allies. We have had diplomatic relations. You will not find an ally to U.S. who have had uninterrupted diplomatic relationships as long as we have for 225 years in a row. Agree that it can only be achieved if U.S. conquer, Greenland. So it was a great opportunity to take this, I wouldn't call it a dialogue, these discussions, which have been in social media and the press for 13 months, into a
kind of a formal environment, get to
into
the
a
next
more
step.
formal environment where we could make our points.
But let's just quickly, for the people who don't fully understand
yes.
what this conversation is about, as we put up the map of Greenland, Denmark and Greenland, your relationship, you spend money there, the people there get funds from Denmark every year. Explain it to folks, what Denmark's relationship to Greenland.
It's 1/3 of the total population in Greenland. More than 1 out of 10 people in Greenland are Danes. So we are totally integrated. We share a history. And last night, the premier in Greenland made it crystal clear that even though, in a very long-term perspective, and I think that goes for all people across the world, they want some kind of independence. Right now, and for a foreseeable future, they want to be a part of the kingdom of Denmark.
So here's the Truth Social he put out, NATO, tell Denmark to get them out of here. He's talking about China and Russia. Now, 2 dog sleds won't do it. Only the USA can. Danish intel warned last year that Russian and Chinese military goals toward Greenland and the Arctic. Then the White House put out this picture that kind of depicted that, these 2 dog sleds choosing between either Russia, China, or the USA. There is a concern about Russia and China in that area, right?
Yeah, and we share that concern. I mean, but we also need to have a facts-based dialogue, and due to at least
you're not going to get that with Donald Trump, mate. He's coming. He wants it all.
avoided all that. We now build new international airports in Greenland. They are funded by Danish money. We had an abandoned American military installation years ago. There was a...
You can see it's a desperate speech, boy. I just want to hear what the part where he talks about offering them the money.
Having said that,
we can say they aspire.
Yeah,
Russia and China aspire.
And having said that, I fully share. I know your president very well. I have met him on several occasions. I was among the first European leaders to meet him in his first term. You
think you know the president well, my friend. You don't know this president. You don't know Nero.
Capabilities in
Hold on.
Either by is going to take over Greenland.
Hold on.
Do you believe that the U.S. is going to take over Greenland?
This is the point I wanted to get to. All right. Sorry, it took a bit of time to get there, but this is the question.
Do you believe that the U.S. is going to take over Greenland, either by buying it, in other words, incentivizing each of the Greenlandian population, which is a population of about 57,000, if they get more money than you're giving them every year, to then have an independence vote, to be independent of you, could it be possible that the U.S. is going to try to do that?
It's probably possible that U.S. could try to do it. It's not possible that Greenland will buy into all this. I mean, according to the latest poll in Greenland, only 6% of the Greenlandic population wants to become Americans.
Well, I had the Greenland Prime Minister on a year ago. Now he's no longer in office, but he was Greenland Prime Minister at the time. This is what he said about that.
Could you foresee a deal with the U.S.?
We don't want to be Danes. We don't even want to be Americans. We want to be Greenlanders, but we know that we have a lot of to cooperate together with, especially with the defense and security. But the last years, we also have a strong partnership between our countries. So I believe we have a lot to cooperate with.
So I'm just doing the math here. 56,000, they get $500,000 a person. I mean, you don't think they're going to vote to break away?
No, not at all. Because I think there's no way that U.S. will pay for a Scandinavian welfare system in Greenland, honestly speaking. You haven't introduced a Scandinavian welfare system.
But you also don't believe the U.S. is going to invade Greenland, do you?
No, at least I do not hope so, because I mean, that will be the end of NATO. But I want to have a more positive.
Absolutely right. That will be the end of NATO. He went, no, I do not hope so. Play that back, boy. He's coming. The Grim Reaper is coming.
This is going to invade Greenland.
You haven't introduced a Scandinavian welfare system.
But you also don't believe the U.S. is going to invade Greenland, do you?
No, at least I do not hope so, because I mean, that will be the end of NATO. But I want to have a more positive approach to all this. And I think it's important for me to say that we share the concerns. I mean, that's why we are investing heavily. We haven't received any military request from US about stepping up in Greenland for the last 20 years, And we have this framework from 1951. We have a defense agreement. We all belong to NATO. And we think that our way forward should be that we, combine forces. So we share the concerns to some extent, but not the methods, if I could put it that way.
So on the military side, on the critical raw materials side, you're willing to open to U.S. companies. I understand. So you're saying you're starting this formal conversation, and you hope it lands in something that you can negotiate.
Yeah, that's the outcome of today's meeting. I mean, it's not that I have a position that now the problem is solved. It stands crystal clear for me that the president's ambition is on the table. Of course, we have our red lights. I mean, this is 2026. You trade with people, but you don't trade people. And there's a third way forward. And that's what we agreed today, that we will now set up this high-level working group to explore whether there's a way forward where we can accommodate, which I totally agree, the president's concern, and still respect, of course, the territorial integrity of the Kingdom of Denmark and the Greenlandic people's right to self-determination.
Mr. Foreign Minister, we really appreciate you coming in here. And
they're gonna negotiate at the end of a barrel. So I'll give you a couple of scriptures here. Matthew 24. That's right, boy. Revelation 17 and 16. Brother Yasharala. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, the European nations, these shall hate the whore and shall make her desolate and naked and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Ultimately, that's what's coming. All right. But like I said, we are living in a time, as Matthew says here, Yahushua says here, sorry, in the book of Matthews 24, verse 6. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. All of these events must take place, but the end is not yet. The end is not yet. The microchip has to come forward. The mark of the beast has to go global. So the end is not yet, family, but we are close to the second coming of the Lord, to the actual war of Armageddon. I did a video earlier, the Greater Israel Project. If you haven't seen it, watch it. The Greater Israel Project will lead us to World War III. Pax Judacia. Watch the video I did earlier. For nation shall rise against nation, as you have quite seen there. Kingdom against kingdom. Kingdom of Denmark against the kingdom of America. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginnings of sorrows. All these are the beginnings of sorrows. And as the prophet Solomon said, there is a time for everything. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under the heavens. There is a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill. These are the times that we are living in. And a time to heal, a time to break down. We're living in the times of everything is breaking down. Relationships, politics, even just family stuff. As the Lord said, he's going to get brother against daughter against father-in-law, mother against daughter-in-law, brother against father and so forth. This is the time of breaking down. The Lord said that, right? In Matthew, is it Matthew 24, is this, or Matthew 13? But the Lord says that there will be brother, he'll come up against brother, sister against sister, mother-in-law. The Lord said that, right? Father against son. So we're living in those times. I think it's Matthew 13 or Mark 13. Mark 13 and 12. It says, now the brother shall betray the brother to death. All right. These are the times that we're living in. Now the brother shall betray the brother to death, and the father, the son, the children shall rise up against their parents and shall cause them to be put to death. And ye shall be hated of all men, which we are, for this truth, for my name's sake. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. All right? The same shall be saved. So when we go back to Ecclesiastes, this is what it says. A time of breakdown, a time to kill, and a time to heal. And a time to what? And a time to break down. Right? These are the times that we are living in. And is it Luke? Let me just grab the one in Luke as well, because that's the one I'm thinking of. It says the houses are divided, right? Is it Luke 12, Luke 11, Luke 12? Just to show you, man. Yeah, Luke 12, right? We're going to come back to Ecclesiastes. The priest is probably Luke 12 and 51. This is the Lord himself speaking. For all you wacky-tacky Christians, right, who don't know the Bible, it says, suppose ye that I am come to give peace on earth. That's what your churches keep talking about. Peace on earth. There's not going to be peace. It's going to be war. War, devastation, destruction before the Lord comes. I tell you, nay, no, but rather division. That's all we can see to the four corners of the world. Total division amongst nations, amongst countries, families, corporations, ideologies, religion, pure division. And it's only the Bible that tells you about all of these things that are going to take place. Only the Bible speaks clearly about these things. For from henceforth there shall be 5 in one house, divided against 3, against 2. There should be 5 in one house, 3, against 2, and 2 against 3. The father shall be divided against the son, and the son against the father, the mother against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother. The mother-in-law against the daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law against the mother-in-law. These are the times that we are living in. So we go back to Ecclesiasticus. When it says here, Ecclesiasticus chapter 3, verse 3, it says Solomon, King David's son, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down. We're living in a time of breakdown. Everything's breaking down. Even the system is going to break down. And a time to build up, a time to weep. We're not living in a time to laugh. We're living in a time to mourn, and not a time to dance, family, right? And then I want to try to get to the point here, right? Verse 8, a time of love. We are not living in a time of love. We're living in a time of hate right now. This world is completely divided because we're living in the end times. A time of war. Everyone's talking about war. The spirit of war is going through the whole earth. We're not living in a time of peace. All right? Just so you understand. So, I'm gonna, like I said, man, disciples, yep. And this is what we are. We are the true prophets of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. This is the brother Yasharallah again. Jeremiah 28, verse 8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old, all of the prophets that have been before thee and before you of old, right? We've been to all of these different newscasters, right? Of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms, of war and of evil and of pestilence. We are living in a time of war.
Media, which calls itself Fox, Brett Baer was questioning the foreign minister of Denmark.
That's the spirit, because we just showed you that, right? I didn't even realize that's what he was going to say, but that's the spirit.
Foreign Minister Rasmussen, and he says, so you don't think that if we offered each Greenlandic individual, each person from Greenland, $500,000, they wouldn't take our money? First off, we all know that Donald Trump will never actually pay them that money. Donald Trump is a massive fraud. His whole life is defrauding people. But the Foreign Minister of Denmark, Rasmussen, says, no, we don't believe it, and you're not going to cover our health care. In Greenland, we have a welfare state that takes care of our people. In America, you don't even have a healthcare system that functions right now. You don't even have subsidies anymore because Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans ripped that away. Here, play this clip.
So I'm just doing the math here. 56,000, they get $500,000 a person. I mean, you don't think they're going to vote to break away?
No, not at all. Because I think there's no way that U.S. will pay for a Scandinavian welfare system in Greenland, honestly speaking. You haven't introduced a Scandinavian welfare system.
But you also don't believe.
More from Foreign Minister Rasmussen, who talks about it's clear that the ambitions of the United States are to conquer Greenland. We've drawn our red lines. We made it clear today. That's what happened during our meeting with J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio. Play this clip.
It stands crystal clear for me that the ambition, the president's ambition is on the table. Of course, we have our red lines. I mean, this is 2026. You trade with people, but you don't trade people. And there's a third way forward. And that's what we agreed today, that we will now set up this high-level working group to explore whether there's a way forward where we can accommodate, which I totally agree, the president's concern.
We played with that anyway. I just want to see the same clip he's playing that I just played you anyway. So anyway, we're going to leave it there. I pray you're edified. All praises and glory to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and to his only begotten Son, Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to you, and shalom to the hopefully elect. Brothers and sisters of the house of Israel, as I always say, keep praying, keep safe, repent, and hold on to this truth. This is about the elect of the Lord's people, right? NATO allies have sent special forces, troops to Greenland, and they are there on Greenland going through rehearsals, army, military rehearsals right now as we speak. Shalom. Shalom, shalom. And Tawada for the brothers that were putting up the precepts on the comment board, as always. And for the few sisters that have been edified, shalom to you, as always, man. Yeah, it's moving fast. Everything's moving so fast, so fast.